Okay, we're going to take a look at some radioactive samples. We've got our Geiger counter here, and I've got some various samples. So the first one is this sample dating back to 1986. It is currently 2022. So this is telling me that this sample has a half-life of 22.3 years. So we're just going to see how much there is left. So I've got my source on the tip of the needle. Let's put it close to the Geiger counter. So each time we hear one of those ticks, that is a radioactive alpha particle coming off the tip of the needle and going to the sensor on the Geiger counter. So there's still a little bit of activity dating back to a sample from 1986. We also have a variety of samples. Again, this is from 1986. There is, let's start with this red one right here. So this is an alpha source, polonium-210. Half-life of 138 days, which it is now, so we're looking at almost 40 years later. Let's see how much radioactivity we still have. So minimal activity since this has such a short half-life and it is close to 40 years old. We also have a beta source. So our beta source is strontium-90, half-life of 28 years. So we've obviously got a little bit more activity. And our last source is a gamma emitter, which is cobalt-60, half-life of 5.3 years. And again, we've got some activity there. This is an old smoke detector, which most people don't actually realize that it does have a radioactive source in it. It has a little bit of americium, depending on how people pronounce it. So inside this cage, there's a small sample of it, which is essentially how the smoke detector is working. So let's just see if we can measure some activity here. And again, every time we hear that little sound, that is a radioactive particle hitting the sensor on the Geiger counter. And for our last sample, we have a little piece of plate. So the orange color actually came from some kind of uranium powder. So if I bring the Geiger counter close to it, you'll notice there is, in fact, quite a bit of activity, more than all of our other samples. So that is such a small piece. If you have a set of plates that are glazed with this uranium powder, then it is extremely highly radioactive and probably not safe to have in your kitchen anymore.